Talk about this war in Iran. As you know, week number 5, approaching week number 6. We are beginning week number 6 of the war on Friday night. It will be 5 full weeks of war in Iran on Friday. And there is no sign of the war ending. As you know, we are in a stalemate. The price of oil is exploding. And even after Trump's speech tonight, if the goal was to reassure the markets, it had the opposite effect. And I imagine the reason for this is because the market believed the hype. They thought that the speech would announce an imminent end to the fighting, and I imagine they priced that in. They priced in that perhaps the oil market would normalize or begin to normalize starting immediately. And when Trump did not announce that, I think this is why after the speech, oil prices shot right back up in the futures market. And now oil is up to $116 a barrel, I think. So it's steadily climbing. Iran, although they are not launching as many projectiles as before, they are still launching missiles and drones at the Gulf states, at Israel. They're still targeting commercial shipping in the Persian Gulf and the Strait of Hormuz. So everything is basically as it was. Everything is still the way it has been for the past several weeks. The big development from tonight, as you know, is the primetime address by President Trump earlier tonight at, I believe, 9 o'clock Eastern time is when it broadcast. It was about 20 minutes. And I'll just refresh your memory a little bit. Where we have been for the past 48 hours is there has been, it seems, a concerted messaging campaign, I think originating from the White House, trying to convince people that the president is leaning towards ending the conflict immediately. And this would be a shock. This would really be a pivot. Because when Trump announced the conflict initially, he articulated 5 major goals, almost none of which have been achieved. Trump sought to destroy Iran's missiles, destroy Iran's navy, destroy their nuclear complex, pursue regime change. And I think there was one other major objective that I'm forgetting right now. None of these have been achieved, with the exception of sinking Iran's navy. That's about it. We have not suppressed their ability to launch missiles and drones. We have not destroyed their nuclear complex. We have not seized or destroyed their stockpile of highly enriched uranium. Oh,
I thought he did that. Didn't he do that like a couple months ago, supposedly? I think he did. I don't know. So I guess we haven't yet. Okay.
The regional proxies. We've done nothing to the proxies at all, and the Iranian regime remains intact. So we articulated 5 objectives at the beginning. At best, we've achieved exactly 1, which is really the least important, and that is sinking their navy. Of course, as the conflict has gone on, another victory condition has actually emerged, and this is now the central and overriding one. Since the conflict and those 5 objectives were announced 5 weeks ago, Iran has closed the Strait of Hormuz. And in order for the conflict to end, you can tack that on at the end of the list. For us to end the war, we now also need to wrest control of the strait from Iran, either by accomplishing some of those other objectives or getting them to make an agreement through negotiation. So now the objectives are topple the regime, destroy their nuclear complex, destroy their missile production capacity, destroy the regional proxies, and open up the Strait of Hormuz. So we really have not achieved anything. If anything, we're going backwards. So in the past 48 hours, there has been all this messaging saying that Trump is ready to resign from the conflict, and the United States is basically going to surrender. Achieving none of these things, not even opening the Strait of Hormuz. And there was a lot of talk that Trump would even be okay with this, that Trump would end the war without even opening up the strait, which you might consider would be the bare minimum. That would get us back to the status quo from before the war. So this has been the talk. This has been the buzz. On Monday, on Tuesday, And this led to a lot of speculation all day yesterday that this primetime address earlier tonight would be an announcement to that end. And so all day yesterday, people said Trump was going to announce that we were ending the conflict, we were winding it down, we were phasing out of the war, and we might even leave without opening up the strait. That was the expectation. Now, yesterday, presciently, I said I don't think that's true at all. My prediction for the speech came true 100%. And if you watched the show last night, I said it could go either way, but my prediction for the speech is that it's going to be a nothing burger. He is going to hijack the primetime slot. He's going to get all the eyeballs on him. He's going to tout his achievements in the war, and he's not really going to announce anything. That's exactly what happened. And so tonight he went live at 8 o'clock and gave a 20-minute speech, and he talked about the original justification for the war. He leaned into this angle that Iran was pursuing a nuclear weapon and that we had to engage Iran so that eventually we could seize their highly enriched uranium. So you could say that part of the speech was remaking the case for the whole war altogether. In the same way that he laid out the case 5 weeks ago, and he has in other addresses and Truth Social posts since, part of the speech was relitigating the case for why we're even doing this at all. The only news to come out of the speech, which isn't really news at all, is that Trump said the war is going to go on for another 2 to 3 weeks. And as
There's like a meme that's going on with Trump, and everything revolves around 2 to 3 weeks. And if you ask him 2 to 3 weeks later, he'll say the same exact thing. 2 to 3 weeks. So 2 to 3 weeks means we don't know.
far as any indication of where things are going, that's about all we got. And this is a story about the speech. This is from the Wall Street Journal. It says, quote, President Trump sought to reassure skeptical Americans that the war in Iran is in the national interest, arguing that the operation was necessary to decimate a regime threatening the U.S. and insisting that economic pain would be short-lived. In a 20-minute address from the White House, his most direct sales pitch to the nation since the war began a month ago, Trump said the U.S. had succeeded on the battlefield and declared that U.S. military objectives would be completed very shortly. Trump said he still aims for a diplomatic agreement to end the war, but in the meantime, he vowed to hit Iran extremely hard in the coming weeks and pummel the country back to the Stone Ages where they belong. The Strait of Hormuz, the war's most notable flashpoint, would open up naturally once the war ended, Trump said. He said they're going to want to be able to sell oil, and the gas prices will rapidly come back down. Stock prices will rapidly go back up. He encouraged other countries to build up some delayed courage and wrest control of the strait from Iran. He said, go to the strait and just take it, protect it, use it for yourselves. Perceptions of the war are mixed and fall largely along party lines, according to polling. In a recent Fox News survey, 80% of voters said they are concerned about the rising cost of gasoline, which has surged as the war affects global energy prices and threatens to muddle Trump's messaging about the economy going into the midterm elections.
Now, if anybody was a betting man, would you actually believe anything that Trump says?
So this is a speech, and the only pronounced effect of the speech is that actually oil went right back up. And like I said, I think that the financial markets had been successfully comforted and reassured in the past 2 days. They drank the Kool-Aid like all of you did, I imagine, because that has been, it's very noticeable. It's very conspicuous that the constant drumbeat from the media for the past 72 hours has all been saying, based on insider information, based on anonymous sources, that Trump is leaning towards ending the war. And that has also been telegraphed by elements inside the administration as well.
I was listening to Stephen A. Smith today, and he said he has information that it's going to end within the next 9 days. So that would be roughly around the, maybe 13th or 14th of this month. And that's what he was saying. That's what Stephen A. Smith was saying. Let's keep it rolling.
Like I said, State Department, the press office. And so I think the stock market bought it. I think they bought it. I think they really believed that this primetime announcement was going to be that the war is ending post tense. It's going to wind down and we are going to withdraw without achieving our objectives. And on the news that the war is going to continue for at least 2 to 3 weeks, that we're going to bomb them even harder. And Trump says we're going to wrest control of the strait, or other countries are invited to. Investors know that means there's really no plan still, and there's no end in sight. So oil prices went right back up after the speech ended. So what was the purpose of the speech, actually? Well, I think, and I said this at the beginning of the show, and I've been saying this for the past couple of days, you have to understand that all Trump does is lie. It's by design. This is the function of rhetoric from the White House. This is how Trump sees it from a doctrinal point of view. I don't know actually how to say that. But that's the Trump doctrine, which is you flood the zone, you saturate the information space with disinformation or contradictory information, and the purpose of it is to throw your enemies and even your allies off balance. So why do they want the public writ large, the whole world, why does the administration want the world to believe that they're ready to wrap up the fighting even without opening up the Strait of Hormuz? I think I'm one of the few people that has recognized this. It is because Trump wants other countries to do his dirty work.
Nick strikes again, calling Trump a bullshitter. Pretty much just a habitual liar. Do you think gas prices are coming down, or they're just going to continue to rise? Like, subscribe, and follow.